When Pokemon Go swept onto the scene in 2016, it was an international sensation. Hordes of people flocked to areas teeming with Pokestops, and it seemed like there was some Pokemon-related incident on the news every other day.
NowGo's developer Niantic have teamed up with Portkey Games to create a Harry Potter-themed mobile game called Harry Potter Wizards Unite.
Wizards Unite has launched in Australia and New Zealand before anywhere else in the world as a beta version, much like Pokemon Go did. And if that's anything to go by, what we're seeing here is pretty much the final version.
When you load it up, the first thing you'll see is how marvelously Harry Potter everything is. There's recognizable items and characters from across the magical world of Hogwarts that just make my heart sing. All it took was that famous theme music playing for me to be really geared up for a wizarding adventure. I grew up with the books and the movies, and this world means so much to me.
Oh, me too, Gem. I was really impressed at the animations, and there's even wonderfully voice-acted lines, building a bit of a story for you.
And confoundables are the chaotic obstacles you must remove in order to return a foundable.
The gameplay is super familiar, being based off the maps and technology that power Pokemon Go. By wandering around in the real world, you encounter various confoundables, things from the wizarding world that risk exposing it to non-magical muggles. It's your job to stop that from happening by doing what wizards do best, casting spells.
I have to say, Rad, I do find it a little confusing though. So there's foundables, which are the good things from the magic world, and then confoundables are the bad things, and they're messing with them, so you have to defeat the confoundables to capture the foundables.
Gotta catch 'em all!
Wrong game. Spells are cast by tracing your finger over a pattern. The faster and more accurate you cast, the more likely you are to be successful. And Rad, this is where my problems with the game start.
You mean the very first and basically main thing that you do in the game?
Yes.
There's pixies on you!
Part of the novelty with these games is playing in augmented reality, or AR, so you can see the game world overlaid on the real world. But to catch anything in AR, you have to stand in a particular spot, line up some stars, then start spellcasting.
Oh dear, Hagrid is trapped.
This means you can't play while walking unless you turn off the AR, so the feature is basically unusable.
Not to mention, tracing with one hand is really tricky. And playing one-handed is basically a must for a mobile game that has walking as a main gameplay feature. If you don't walk, you can't find more confoundables, and thus there's nothing to do in the game. And there's port keys, which are basically chests, that are unlocked by walking, but it seems the distance is only counted while the app is open. Which wouldn't be so bad if there's lots of confoundables to catch, but...
There's just not. Rad, I went on a whole big walk the other day and only found like 2 things. All that good work for nothing.
I know this was a criticism of Pokemon Go back in the day, especially from people that don't live in dense cities, but I feel like it's even worse in Wizards Unite. The world feels even more empty, with a glut of extra features that lead to dozens of pages and menus for collectibles that just do not excite me. At level 6, you do get to choose a profession, but it doesn't change the gameplay much, and by the time I got there, I just didn't care anymore. In trying to flesh out the game, it's like they lost sight of how people would be playing, and that's what would and wouldn't be a useful addition.
Totally. It's like it's doubled down on Pokemon Go's problems and then stripped away what made it successful. Loading screens take way too long, and there doesn't seem to be much in the game encouraging people to play together. There are fortresses which have enemies you can battle as a group, but as they're always active, they don't encourage gatherings like Pokemon Go's raids. I don't get that same sense of community.
I did like wandering around with you though.
That's just because we like hanging out.
Yeah, true. I think a big part of why this feels so boring is that we're all completely burned out on the Pokemon Go formula. I just don't care about tracing a shape over and over so I can collect virtual stickers to fill my sticker pages.
I also just found the inns and greenhouses, which give you energy and items, so lackluster. In a mobile game, every millisecond of time I have to spend waiting for an animation to finish is agony. So beefing up these glorified Pokestops with all this fanfare was not a good time for me. I'd been really looking forward to Harry Potter Wizards Unite, but after playing it, it's definitely not something I'm going to be continuing with. I'm giving it 1.5 out of 5 rubber chickens.
There may be magic out there, but it is not in this game. I'm giving it 2 out of 5 rubber chickens.